everybody, this is Christopher Brower here with Daily Motor, and today we're driving one of my favorite new BMWs. This is the 2022 BMW 230i. If you're subscribed to Daily Motor, you'll know that we just drove the M240i xDrive. This is what slots right below it, the base model, if you will, the 230i. This one's powered by a 2-liter turbocharged inline 4-cylinder engine as opposed to the B58 inline 6, so a little bit less power, but we're still making 255 horsepower and 295 foot-pounds of torque in just this base model 230i. This car is rear-wheel drive only as opposed to the xDrive all-wheel drive M240i, so more of a simple, lighter, slightly less power, just a basic 2 Series, and that is a recipe for a really good car in my book. It's got less frills, it's lighter, it's unfortunately not purple like the M240i, but you can have the 230i in purple, so that is good. This one though is finished in Brooklyn gray, and on camera actually it might look a bit like Nardo gray, but it's not flat. It does have some metallic in it, so already a better color than Nardo gray. It's got some gold metallic accents when it's actually sunny out, which it isn't really today, but actually a pretty good color. And then we have an oyster interior. A little bit of a strange spec. I don't know that I would spec mine like this, but the spec's actually growing on me as I've been driving this for the past couple of days. Today we're running on some Pirelli snow tires, not the normal summer tires you would get with this M Sport package equipped 230i. Trunk space is pretty good. As you can see, it fits both of my jackets just fine. I should probably have one of those on right now as it's freezing in Michigan. Tire repair kit, and then we also have little latches to pull our back seats down, which is always a nice thing to have in coupes. If you're able to put the seats down, give yourself a little bit more room, it actually makes this 2 Series pretty practical. Front seat folds forward for you there. Yeah, check that out. Then we have a 60-40 split folding rear seat, and it's actually quite a bit of room. I've been impressed with these new 2 Series cars and just how much room they actually have on the inside. Now, actually sitting in the back seat, a little bit of a different story. You've got limited headroom back here. Try and climb in without smashing my camera off my face. Yeah, that's kind of tight. And now this will come back to crush me. Ah, please. Oh, Lord. Oh, yes. Okay. So especially with a camera on your head, it's certainly very tight back here. But if you were a normal person or maybe a child, you'd have some room. Much more room in the 4 Series. You know, this, although it does look larger from the exterior, it is still a 2 Series. Keep that in mind. The back seat is just here, well, more as just like a shelf for things, or you put the seats down and you have quite a bit more room. Let's climb out over our silver and chrome M door sill. This is not an M car, but it does have the M appearance package on it, so pardon all of the M badges on this thing. Should we count all of the M badges that are on this non-M BMW? 1, 2. Oh gosh, we've got 2 per wheel because we've got one on the brake caliper and one on the actual wheel. So that adds up to what? There's 8 there. I actually think the body of the car doesn't have any on it. It's all just on the wheels and the brakes. Yeah, looks like we're clean otherwise. All right. So we've got 8, 9, 10, 11. I think that's it. We have 11 M badges on this 230i. Oh no, there's some on the floor mats. What does that make, 13? Unless there's some on the back, I doubt it. So it's probably 13 then in here. Let's take one more look around the front of this car, because I know the styling on this thing is pretty controversial. And I've been saying, oh, I don't know if I'm totally sold on it yet, but this is now the 4th one of these I've driven, the 4th one of these I've been able to spend some time with, and I think that I'm finally sold on it. It works for me. The proportions on this car, sure, they're a little bit weird, but they're not as weird as the new 4 Series M3 or M4 with the stupid big front face / grill, whatever you want to call it. I think this thing actually looks quite a bit better. And this is one of those cars that we saw the press photos of it and we were like, oh man, that's hideous. But in person, I really am starting to like this car a lot, and the way that it drives just makes everything better. And let's go ahead and get in, because it is March here in Michigan and it's been 60, but for some reason now it's 20. So make it make sense, Michigan. I don't know, I'm freezing. I want all of my heated elements to be on. Whew. We do have a heated M branded sport steering wheel in this 230i. Heated seats as well in here, of course. And in the interior, quite a familiar sight. All of BMW's cars are really starting to have just very similar looking interiors. This reminds me quite a lot of the new 3 and 4 series, and that's not a bad thing. I don't mind this quite simple yet usable interior. Separate climate display, soft touch buttons down here to program your radio stations if you still listen to the radio. If you're like me, you just listen to your phone. I don't know why it disconnected my phone though. Why did you disconnect my phone? Whatever, we don't need it for the review. Otherwise, Oyster seats, they feel pretty nice. Obviously not as soft of a leather as you're going to get in a 5 or a 7 series, but the seats are still pretty nice. They're definitely better than the last generation of 2 series. They feel more expensive. The actual door panels themselves are a pretty cool design as well. We have our contour color here in the middle, our Oyster, and then we have these cool design elements right next to it there on the door panel. Not in leather, but at least we've got some sort of a design instead of them just leaving that just a plain black, you know, barren wasteland of nothing. The dash as well, it's also not stitched in leather, but you guys have to remember this is a 2 series. This car starts at $36,000, so it's actually a pretty cheap vehicle. It's a very entry level BMW, and for what it is, I'm actually very impressed. Infotainment, normal BMW, what is it, iDrive 7 at this point, something like that, and it works well. It's pretty complicated, and there's lots of different things, especially if you go into your car settings. You know, you've got all your ambient lighting, climate control, general driving modes, exterior lighting, driving assistance, key button, just so many things that I don't want to get into today, but otherwise, good stuff. Fully digital cluster, changes depending on what drive mode you're in. Eco Pro is my favorite mode to drive in this car, which we'll get into that during the review as well. But anyways, why don't we take this 230i out on the road, because that is where I like it best. Just a pretty simple reverse camera, no 360 camera on this 230i, but the reverse camera gives you all the lines you could ever need, shows you where you're gonna go, and even though we don't have a 360 camera, we still have parking sensors that will light up if you're getting too close to something over there on the right-hand side. All right, just starting out in comfort mode today, in automatic. Now the M240i I praised for being not so dramatic, not so brutal like a full M car, and of course that's the purpose of it. It's not a full M car, it's a 240i, and in recent years BMW has started making all of them M Sport cars. So I liked that car for not being so brutal, and this 230i is the same way, except it's even better in that respect, as you'd expect, because it's the lowest trim 2 series. The powertrain in this car, this 2-liter inline-4, when you're in Eco Pro mode, it's so quiet. If you told me that I was in an EV, I may actually believe you. If it weren't for just the traditional 8-speed automatic transmission that I could hear shifting gears, or feel shifting gears rather. I mean, the powertrain is just whisper quiet when you're in Eco Pro mode. It's absolutely unbelievable. BMW always does such a good job with their powertrains for making them smooth, making them quiet when they want to, and also making them super efficient. This thing's rated by the EPA for 35 mpg on the highway. I suspect, though, it's going to do even better in our highway fuel economy test. We tested the M240i, and that car did 33, and that has a turbocharged inline-6 with almost 400 horsepower, and it's still efficient enough that it's able to do 33 mpg on the highway. So I'm sure this 230i, it may even inch up towards 40. Unfortunately, though, today it is 20 degrees out, so I'm not sure how well it's actually going to do. I mean, this you can't, there's nothing to hear. When you're in comfort mode, you get a little bit more of that piped in engine sound, so you can hear it more there. Not the most exciting powertrain from that perspective. It doesn't sound particularly cool. I don't really have much desire to rev it out and get the most out of it. But it is, as I've been talking about for the past 5 minutes, it is a phenomenal powertrain. It's just really not the most exciting, but that's okay. Because if you want an exciting powertrain, then you get the M240i. I really like the throttle tuning and just overall settings they have in comfort mode. It's really just a nice day-to-day, of course, as I'm sure they intended, mode to just drive normally in. Even in Eco Pro, it's easy to drive. It numbs the crap out of your throttle response. You really have to give it a lot if you want to go anywhere, but that's Eco mode. They're all usually like that. And then for Sport mode, we actually have a couple different settings. We have Sport Individual. Well, actually, right now we're in Sport Plus, but we got Sport Individual, Sport Plus, and then just regular Sport. Sport Plus is your sportiest setting. That's what we're in right now. Slap the stick over to the right, Sport transmission mode, grab a paddle, and it puts you into manual mode. Locked us into 6th gear there. Paddle response is lightning quick, just as it is in any other BMW. Just because this is the base model, it's no exception for all of the good BMW instant gratification. This car is also optioned with the M limited slip differential. Which I think is really cool that you can option an LSD on this 230i. Did not used to be a thing back in the day with base model cars. They would not give you an LSD because they wanted you, of course, to buy the full M car. This one's optioned out with quite a few different M performance options. M appearance package, and then we also have the M dynamic steering, which you can adjust with your drive modes. And then, of course, also the M limited slip. So if you want to spend $1 zillion on your 230i, you can have all the M Sport options on this and configure it as you like. Over there, over the rough ride section there, even in Sport Plus mode, it's not super crashy. We do even have launch control in this 230i, which I was very surprised by. I did not think it would have it, and then I tested it out the other day, and sure enough, it does. Sport traction, sport transmission, in automatic still. Left foot hard on the brake, right foot hard down on the gas. You can see launch control active there. No searching for traction or anything like that, and it's able to propel this 230i to 60 miles an hour in just 5.5 seconds. BMW always gives a figure for their horsepower, so in this car 255 horsepower, but you have to assume it's a very healthy 255 horsepower. In fact, this car feels like it's got 255 horsepower going to the rear wheels. I wouldn't be surprised if this car made even more. At least BMW never overestimates their cars. They're pretty known for underestimating their cars. In fact, B58 powered cars are known for putting down more than their factory rated figures on the dynos, whether that be an M340i or even a Toyota Supra. They always put down more than they're rated for, which is pretty cool. Back into comfort mode here. And dynamically, this car is just such a sweetheart. No matter how you're driving this car, it's just such a pleasure. Whether you're hypermiling in Eco Pro mode on the highway, or you're driving in full sport mode, carving corners, they've set this new 2 Series up in such a way that it is just so fantastic. It reminds me of older BMWs, and that is a pretty big compliment. Yeah, just easy enough around there on Pirelli snow tires in comfort mode, and it just handled it like a champ. Into Eco Pro mode here, we've got lane keep assist on, and it's just a nice chill experience in this 230i. It'll vibrate when you go out of a lane. Not a super sophisticated system. It'll give you a little nudge if you're in a straight line. It's not going to corner for you around a corner like this, but at least there's a system there to give you a little nudge if you need it. I also appreciate how fast you can change drive modes. Also, sport traction allows you to get a little bit of slideways action without messing it up. That's the purpose of it. It gives you enough of a slip angle to where you can feel like a hero, but not completely loop the car and do a 180 or accidental spin out maneuver. BMWs are always so sophisticated when it comes to driving aids and driving modes and things like that, which at some times can be a little bit frustrating and annoying. But I think at this point in BMW's journey of trying to dial in all of their drive modes and driver assist systems, they've finally gotten it to a point where it's usable and it actually works really well in these non-M cars, at least. Not to mention just the really satisfying feel of these paddles, and you can also shift down here. It's the right way. Down is up, up is down. If you know, you know. That is the proper configuration for a manual shift on an automatic transmission. I appreciate cars as well that let you shift with the paddles and with the shifter down here. And just like that, we're back into drive, comfort mode, automatic. Easy stuff. Everything's laid out in a very self-explanatory manner. Our auto start stop off button is right here too, in line with everything else. So we briefly touched on price earlier. This 230i coupe starts at 36 grand, which dynamically and performance-wise, you get everything that you have here, I guess, minus the limited slip differential. But for another couple $100, you can have that diff. So for 36 grand, this is an absolutely fabulous car. This one in particular, with all of its M Sport options and cold weather and all of the goodies that this car has, it's almost 50. It's 48,000. And at that point, I would just have an M240i with less options. The most ideal way to have a 2 Series would either be to have a super base model 230i that you could spec to be just about 40,000. You know, I would like to have heated seats and heated steering wheel and a limited slip. That would put me right around the $40,000 mark. But also that M240i is such a treat. It's such a good car in different ways. It's lightning quick and it sounds really cool and it's all-wheel drive. But this 230i is nice in the way that it's just simple, easy performance, and it would be such a good daily driver. Sure, it's a coupe, but it's comfortable, it's economical, it's usable. There's plenty of room in here. The back seats go down. BMW has seriously nailed it with this new 2 Series, and I haven't been the biggest fan of some of the most recent new BMWs that I've driven. But this new 2 Series is certainly my favorite new BMW that I have driven, and I'm sticking to that. You can hate all you want on the styling, but at the end of the day, it's a really good car to drive. It looks better than the 4 Series. Come on now, you can't deny that. This is really a sweetheart. BMW has made something really, really good here. So would I recommend the new BMW 2 Series in either form, 230i or M240i? Absolutely yes. This would be a BMW that I would actually buy. We don't often test cars that I emerge from the experience thinking, I really want one of those. That's a car that I would actually buy. And the M240i and this 230i, both configurations of the new 2 Series, I would drive both. I would own both, and I would love both. So thank you all so much for watching. It's been an absolute treat driving another one of these new 2 Series, G42 I think is the body code. Gotta check myself on that too, not 100% positive. But it's been good, and this is a really good car. Give it a chance. I know the design is not for everyone, but seriously guys, give this car a chance. Go out and drive one if you have the means, and really appreciate this little coupe for what it is, because BMW's done such a good job with it. One last little walk around. Appreciate all of our M style goodies on this thing. Our upside down spoon taillights, our dual exhaust, our Brooklyn gray metallic paint. What a sweetheart this car is, for real. All right, guys. Well, again, thank you so much for watching. This has been Christopher Brower with Daily Motor. We'll see you real soon in the next video. And as always, drive on.